Capote, and we're back with another deck profile, a hero deck profile at that, and I'm really excited. Ian Shuffle is so cool. I'm really excited. The only thing is that like damn, Macrocosmos and Dimensional Fissure at 3. That's gonna be fun. Okay. Well, anyway, so this is a sort of competitive deck profile that I've built that's been working really well for me. Helped me do really well at locals, helped me do really well in online, and does pretty well against the meta decks because they don't play Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos except for Exosister and Floowandereeze. And this deck is rough going second against Floowandereeze, not gonna lie, but it's a lot better now with Ian Shuffle because you can special Stratos and then go into something and sort of dodge your opponent's Ryza, which is really good. And what else? Well, I'll get to everything else when we get to the deck profile. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But for now, let's get into the deck profile. This is going to be a more in-depth deck profile, so I'm going to go over, I won't say all the cards effects because you can just look those up, but I'm going to go over why I play the ratios, why I think it's a good card in the deck, and why I play the card. So if you want to, if you don't want that, if you just want ratios, and if you just want like a quick look at the deck, I'm going to post the link in the video in the description below, and it'll be just a shorter version. It's like 10 minutes. This one's probably going to be around 30, but we'll see. Anyway, let's get started. So, first, we're playing 3 Elemental Hero Stratos. Now, with Ian Shuffle in the format, this is 100% the best normal summon in the deck. There's always been debate whether it's Stratos or Vion, but Stratos was insane. I still think he was a better normal summon back then, but now for sure he is with Ian Shuffle. It means that when you normal summon, you can get a search, you can pop spell traps, and then you can switch it out for Shadow Mist and go into a Dark Claw, which is free. So or you can special them with Cross Crusader or Cross Keeper and then go into your other plays just willy-nilly, or summon another Stratos later on the turn and just get more advantage, which is always great. Stratos is just great, especially because he's level 4, which does come up, especially because of a card I'm running in the extra deck, which I think you guys know if you know the meta. But yeah, 3 Stratos. Then we're playing 2 Shadow Mist, and like I know some people are going to say like, why don't you play 3 Shadow Mist? Because like, and those people will be very, very wrong because sorry, not very, very wrong. Everyone has their own opinion and their own way to play the deck. But even with Ian Shuffle at 3, I don't think 3 Shadow Mist is good. Opening 2 will suck every time because you can't use both their effects in one turn. You can't use either effect in one turn, so you can't pitch one and special summon one with something else. And then having your normal summon for Shadow Mist and then going into Stratos kind of sucks because you don't get both effects. You really want the Stratos into the Shadow Mist most of the time, or even into the Liquid Soldier, just get that advantage of Sunrise and Crosskeeper, or Liquid Soldier himself. But anyway, the guy searches, he specials on and searches out Mass Change, which is good, and yeah, two copies of him. Then we're playing 1 copy of Liquid Soldier, so most of the time you're going to be using this not for his normal summon effect, even though it is good and it does help you make Abyss Dweller if you need to. It's going to be very hard because if you use Ferris or Fusion Destiny, it locks you into heroes, and you can't really do it like end combo, just normal summon Liquid Soldier, go into Abyss Dweller. Most of the time, you're going to use his effect for the draw 2, discard 1 off of the fusion summon, going to Sunrise, and maybe again going to Absolute Zero if you want to wait and just get that advantage if you think you're going to live the turn, or if you want to risk it. But I think it's a really good card, and it's really useful, especially with the Crosskeeper, being able to draw 4 and then like sculpt your hand in a way that you really like. Then we're playing 3 Ferris. 3 Ferris I think is really good. 1, because it's just a really good card. The Vision Hero combo is great, and even though I don't think it's completely necessary in the deck right now, I think 3 is still good because the more you can access it, the better, and you're not always going to open the increase, although it does seem like every time you do. It's just it's just rough when you do. But 3 Ferris I think is better. It gets you your basically full combo just by itself. So it is good, although it isn't necessary anymore. 1 increase, now this is another topic of debate in the community whether you play one or two increase. I think the consensus is that one increase is better. Of course, everyone has the right to their own opinion. So if you think differently, you can switch one of the cards out for another increase. But I just don't think it's worth it. I'd rather play other things in the deck. I'd rather have other cards in my hand, all the time, because opening increase just sucks completely, and it's just rough. But he is a necessary part of the Vision Hero combo. If he said hand or deck, he'd be immensely. If Ferris said hand or deck, it'd be immensely better, and you would probably play two increase. But now you can't. So then we have two Vion again. I don't want to play three Vion. One, because it doesn't work with Aeon Shuffle, and two, because I just think Stratos is the better normal summon. And I do play two Poly in the build, which I think is really good, especially if you have to summon both Vions, or if you open two Vions, it's not as bad as before. But when I didn't play Poly is what I mean. Two Poly. But he's just really good. He's a good normal summon as well as just a good part of the Vision Hero combo. He gets you to Poly. He's just good. He's probably always going to be a part of your combos unless you just hard open Poly or open Fusion Destiny. But either way, he's really good. Then we have two Malicious, because we can only play two Malicious. I would play three if it was at three, which I think it can go back to three. What's Dark Hero doing? No one's gonna what Gumblar? There's no Gumblar in the format anymore. But anyway, two of Malicious, because he's just great. Then we play one Destiny Hero Denier. We don't play. I think playing more than one is just really, really bad. Simply because you can get into the graveyard very easily via Vion, Fusion Destiny, or just searching him out with anything to get him into the Poly zone. But the reason that you don't play more than one is you think oh, the more I see this card, the better. But then you have to remember that both his effects are once per turn. One of them is once per duel, and they both trigger in the graveyard. So as long as you can get in the graveyard, you're only going to ever activate it once per turn, and even maybe once per duel. So having more than one in the graveyard doesn't really do anything for you, especially because it's a hard once per turn. So if you activate it and someone DD Crows your Denier, then you can't activate the other one. So it's just not worth playing more than one. At least that's what I think. Then one Dark Angel. I think this is really good for the same reason I thought so before all the ban list and everything. It just insulates your board. It's not really just oh, you can't use spell cards, haha. It's more oh, you can't use Dark Ruler, oh, you can't use Super Poly, oh, you can't use Droplet. Oh, you can use Droplet. That's the only thing that they can use. And I know there's some debate with whether you can use Droplet on Dark Angel, but every professional judge that I've talked to, every judge that I've talked to has ruled it where you can, because the Dark Angel goes to your graveyard and it doesn't get banished because it's not technically your opponent's card when it hits the graveyard. That's another thing that's just really iffy. But every judge that I've talked to, every professional judge that I've talked to, has ruled that this goes to your graveyard, so your opponent can in fact use this, but they can only use this, so they can only negate one monster effect on the field. So they can so your opponent can negate your Dark Law or whatever by using Dark Angel with Droplet. But that's the only spell card that they can use in the game. So everything else is just nope. Dimensional Fissure, especially now, turn 2 Dimensional Fissure still really hurts. So this just insulates you from that. And Super Poly and Dark Ruler are just rough, right? So there you go. Then one Plasma. Although this isn't good against Tier, it's still really good against everything else, especially since decks like Exorcister and Floowandereeze are going to get a little bit of a power boost because of the 3 macro and 3 Dimensional Fissure. I think still keeping this in the main deck is just a really good option, especially hard opening it and your opponent not knowing you have it, and then you just go 3 monsters and they go yeah, sure, and then you just summon this guy and you're haha, that's just great. Then one Honest Neos, because it's still a really great utility card, and the fact that it's searchable is great. If you ever need to protect your monsters or get something extra, it's just a really good thing to do. Then we're playing the Absolute Zero and Dark Calling package. Now, there's going to be a lot of there's not going to be, I don't know if there's going to be debate. I don't think anyone watches my videos, but for those of you that do, the reason that I play the Dusted Gold and Dark Calling package is because I just think that it's it's too good not to. I know it's people like, oh, it's a brick if you open Dark Calling, or it's like, oh, you have to search it down and waste your search, and it's not like Bane has no protection and whatever. But the good thing about a Dusted Gold isn't that it's like, and especially with the graveyard stuff, like yeah, they can just shuffle it back. But the good thing about Bane and Adjusted Gold in general is that even though they can do that, even though they can shuffle back, and even though they can just stop you from getting out Bane, it does make it so that blanks one of their negates, it blanks one of their cards, it blanks one of their shuffle backs, which is really important because a lot of the time those are going to be key in making your combo, key in making sure you win. And yes, going second with heroes against tier or against anything in the format right now is going to suck. It's going to be it's going to be very hard to win, and most of your side deck is probably going to consist of going second blowouts just because they have to. Like, Lightning Storm is now necessary in the side deck, for heroes at least, I think, because of the Macrocosmos and Dimensional Fissure, the Unlimits. But anything that helps you go second and at least get to your combo, I think is worth it, especially since it's only 2 cards in the main deck and 1 card in the extra deck. I think it's too good not to play. But that's just me. Then instead of 3 copies of Ian Shuffle, and I know you're thinking like, oh my gosh, you're not playing 3 copies of Ian Shuffle? That's crazy. And yeah, I think I'm playing 2 copies of Ian Shuffle and 1 copy of Crosskeeper. Now you might think, what, Crosskeeper is just a less good version of Ian Shuffle? And I'd say, yes, you're right. But it is also more, it makes the deck a little bit more versatile, because Ian Shuffle, you have to have, you have to open Ian Shuffle and Elemental Hero, and you do with Crosskeeper. You can use them both in the same situations, except Ian Shuffle is on the field and Crosskeeper is on the hand. And the main reason that I play Crosskeeper instead of a third Ian Shuffle is because of the draw effect. You can banish it from the graveyard to draw 2 whenever you summon an Elemental Hero fusion monster. Now, that might seem like pretty like, oh, that's hardly ever going to come up, but it's really good, especially when you're behind or late in the game. If you have a Poly in hand and a way to get to Sunrise, if you have this in your hand, just like by special summoning a Liquid Soldier or whatever, and then falling into something, it just really helps, because it's the draw 2 and discard 1, especially combined with the draw 2. Sorry, this is draw 2, shuffle back 1, but combined with the Liquid Soldier draw 2 discard 1, I think that advantage is really important, especially when you have a bad hand, and you're going to see it like you're going to thin your deck a lot after turn 1. You always do with heroes. So getting to that Crosskeeper late game and being able to summon something from graveyard to go into maybe an Abyss Dweller or a fusion monster, or maybe even summoning back from graveyard and then going Ian Shuffle to get a Stratos, like it's going to be really good, and I think that it's worth playing at least 1 in the deck. That's why 2 Ian Shuffle, 1 Crosskeeper. Or you could play 3 Ian Shuffle and then take anything in the deck out for the Crosskeeper. I just think that playing at least 1 is really good. Then, because we're playing Ian Shuffle and Crosskeeper, we all want to make sure we always have an Elemental Hero in hand. So we're playing 3 Emergency Call, because it's just really, really good. It's just a searcher for the deck, and it really helps. Then, for the same reason, a hero lives. People are like, oh no, I don't want to play 4,000 life points. But honestly, if they can kill you at 8,000, with the decks in the format right now, like, if they can kill you at 8,000, they can kill you at 4,000. It's not going to be much, especially since Hero doesn't have much interruption in the main deck. They just have their, like, the monsters that they make. And a lot of the time, like, it stops them, but it doesn't stop them enough from stopping to kill you, especially with Tyr being the powerhouse that it is. And with Floowandereeze, if they set up their board and you have no resources, you're pretty much going to lose already. So those 4,000 life points don't really matter all that much. At least that's what I think. So I think 3 Hero Lives is just really good, especially because it just gets you an Elemental Hero. Now, the same thing is 1 Rhoda, because Rhoda is at 1, and it's just basically another copy of Emergency Call. Then, for the fusion cards, we're playing 1 Miracle Fusion for the Sunrise shenanigans, and 2 Polymerization. Now, this is another thing that I'm going to discuss. I think that Polymerization at 2 is really, really, really good. 1, because you can hard open Poly, and it's not so much of a brick anymore, because getting that resource and then going into getting the resources from Liquid Soldier and then going into your main combo is really good, especially with the cards you have, especially with drawing into Mass Changes, drawing into Fusion Destinies, making sure like Heroes is very flexible depending on the cards you draw, and I just feel like 2 poly makes it a little bit more flexible, especially in the later game. After your board gets cleared, a lot of the time you had to resort to Wonder Driver to be able to get that second poly. But now you can just search Vion with something, maybe use your Malicious and Denier, which hopefully stay in the graveyard because you banished everything with Dark Law, and they don't have Mudoras or Keldos. And then you just use the Cross Crusader to search Vion, and then get into your second poly and get your combos going. I think 2 poly is really good. It makes Wonder Driver a lot less important, and it makes your combo a lot less interruptible later on in the game. Then 3 Fusion Destiny. There's no reason why you wouldn't play 3. This is a full combo just off one card, and it's just really good combo enders. So you can bait out all of your opponent's negates, and then just go into this and go full combo. Then we have 3 Mass Change because you want to see this as much as possible. You want to go into Dark Law every single turn. Well, not every single turn. Every turn 1 at least. And if you don't, then you're kind of screwed. Then for the sort of tech spaces, these you can really do whatever you want with. I just chose these cards because I think they're really good. So the first 2 are Droplet. I play this instead of Super Poly because Super Poly really doesn't do much against here. In tier, it's insane because they can just do whatever the hell they want with it. But out of tier, it's not really that great just because Droplet I think is better because Super Poly, they just get their monsters back or they get their monster effects. But with Droplet, you have a way to beat over them with battle, and you have a way to negate their effects, which is like at any time, at any point in the turn, because it is a quick play. So if they do something like Kaleido Heart, summon and spin back your thing, you can just tribute that off to negate its effects and beat over it with something else, and then it doesn't come back, right? So I just think that's a lot better than Super Poly, just in my opinion. Then we have one called by this. This I think is important in Heroes specifically because we can't really play the Bystials. I mean, you can if you want, but it's going to be really tricky and really tricky to play with. Just because, yeah, you can use Ferris after you do the Bystials, but you can't use the Cross Crusader, which is really important in a lot of your combos. And you can use it when you use Called by the Grave. So you can use the Bystials during your opponent's turn, yeah, but unlike other decks, you can't do it during your turn because it locks you out. Then I'm playing the one main deck out to... We have a lot of Spell and Trap removal in the extra deck, but just having that one main deck out is going to be great. Even though Mystic Mine is banned, now Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos are in the format, which I think Spell and Trap card removal are really important. And funny little thing. I was actually, for a second, I was like, do I play R Righteous Justice in this deck? And I was like, no, that's too stupid. But for a second, I thought about it. Then we're going to start off with the tech spots in the deck. For the extra deck, we're going to play a Linkuriboh and an Abyss Dweller. Now, Linkuriboh is because really popular in Sprite now, right now is the Ibly lock, where it makes it so Ibly summons to your field in defense position, and it makes it so you can't special summon monsters except Link monsters. Which Heroes does not really have an out for except normal summon Ferris by tributing Ibly, which just really sucks because if you don't hard open Ferris, then you kind of lose. So playing the one Linkuriboh is just really good, and you don't have to use its effect, so you can still do Ferris combos, you can still do Crosskeeper combos, although it'll take another main monster zone instead of the extra deck zone. But since you don't have to use Linkuriboh's effect, it still makes it so your combos are doable. Then Abyss Dweller, especially later on in the game, after they get rid of your Dark Law, it's really easy to make this. Just search a Liquid Soldier, or search a Liquid Soldier, or if you already have Liquid Soldier in hand. I really like to search Liquid Soldier at the end of the turn if I don't have anything else to search, just so I can normal summon him and go to Abyss Dweller later, and then do the hero combos. But that's just me. I think Abyss Dweller is really good. It has been really good for a while just because Tyr's been the main deck. Then let's go into the hero cards. Then we have two Masked Hero Darklaw. Masked Hero Darklaw is going to be your main win condition against most things, except basically Exorcister and Flu. It's just a really good card. It's great. It's very, like, Tyr basically can't do anything against this, unless they have, like, set a card turn one and then go. But most of the time they're not going to have anything to do. Then we have one Malicious Bane, like I said before. Then two Phoenix Enforcer. I think two Phoenix Enforcer is really important because Bystials are still going to be super heavy in the format. Macro and Dimensional Fissure are going to be super heavy in the format. And a lot of the time, you're going to be like, oh, pop your Dimensional Fissure in my DP. And they're going to be like, ha, chain Macrocosmos. And that's going to suck. So I think having two is just really, really good because you can get into a second DP super easy in this deck. Even on turn 2 or 3. Like, you just shuffle back the Malicious and then use Fusion Destiny. Or just hard get out the Malicious and the Denier, and like, just make it with Poly, which it's really easy and you can do it most times, even if it is your second time doing it. So I don't see why you wouldn't, and it's just really useful having that DP. Even if it isn't a good card in the graveyard anymore, it's a really good card on the field, and it really helps you go for OTK and even just get rid of threats. You don't always have to target DP either. You can just set a card and then just pop that in the card that you want to get rid of, right? But a lot of times they're going to have removal for DP and a way to keep him out of the graveyard, so you want to prepare for that. Then we have one Absolute Zero because I think he's the best thing to make off Miracle Fusion. One Sunrise for the resources and just for the extra body on board, which comes up more than his effect ever does. Then one Masked Hero Acid for spell and trap card removal. Another Masked Hero Blast for spell and trap card removal. Now this is a little bit weirder of spell trap card removal, because your opponent can just set the card back if you use it during their turn. But if you use it during your turn, that blanks a Macrocosmos, it blanks a Dimensional Fissure, which is just really important getting those outs because Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos screw over your deck immensely. And it's really hard to get rid of them, not hard, but it's going to drain a lot of your resources that you can't get back later on, which is one of the recursiveness is one of the best parts of Heroes. So yeah, and then we have one Dread Decimator to go for game, one Wonder Driver. I know I said, like, ooh, you don't have to go into Wonder Driver, but I still think Wonder Driver in those scenarios where you can't get to that second poly is good because that way you can get the poly in your graveyard back in, like, those really niche scenarios that you need to do that. But another thing that you can do is just replace this with anything else you want to play. Then we have two Cross Crusader because he's one of the best combo enablers in this deck. Probably one of the best, probably the best, honestly. Probably the best combo enabler in the extra deck, at least. And yeah, that's it for the deck profile. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and please let me know what you think. I don't think I'm the best Yu-Gi-Oh player. I don't think I'm the best hero player, but I have had success with heroes. I have played against the meta and come out on top. You know, I think I know what I'm talking about a little. So, like, if you have your own concerns or if you have your own just anything, please let me know in the comments. And if you liked the video, please leave a like, maybe even subscribe. And if you want, ring the notification bell for more videos. I'll see you guys later. I hope you have a great day.